Hi, Apolline. I'm so happy to have you with me.
Hi, thank you for having me.
The story of Sira, as we've seen, is dealing with violence and Islamism. How did you get to tackle such a tragedy? Was there a moment where you felt, I can do this now, I can tackle such a complex story?
Oh, definitely. There was a moment. It was around 4 or 5 years ago. Of course, Burkina has the this problem has been a decade. And I think the most brutal one that we had was like 4 years ago, called the massacre of Yiribugu. And on that event, there was more than 163 people, I think, that were massacred in the village. And it was so shocking to me. It was really, really shocking to me, and it was a community fight. And we have the history in Burkina, what we call a parenté à plaisanterie, which means that each community has one other community, and then we fight by making jokes, and then our ancestors created that for us not to be able to actually have civil war, or all the community, because I mean, you have to understand there's like 60 more than 60 community in Burkina Faso, and to be able to live together with harmony, they build up this thing, the way we said, parenté à plaisanterie, where we insult this one, and then you cannot get back to me, like. So when that happened, it really, really, really shocked me, and I was like, what is happening in my country? What is happening? And that's what I started to say. I need to tell a story about this. I need to talk about it, and because no one was talking about it really. I mean, of course, it was every time on the news, and I mean, what can I do if it's not using my art to express myself? And that's why I started writing, like, really naively, because I didn't really know much about terrorism, or what the army was doing, or how the people were suffering, because we are in the city, and I'm not going to say that we are safe, but not much is happening in the city. But when you go further down, that's what you see, that is terrible. That's when the idea came, and I said, you know what, I have to talk about it. And when I started writing it, as I said, really naively, and making research, that's when I realized actually that that women had a very, very big role in this war, because they were always been portrayed as victims, not doing much, and then I'm being at the refugee camp. And when I started writing, and I went to them, and I went to the refugees camp, and I spoke to those women, and an incredible story came out of it, and I knew then that I needed to make my protagonist a woman.
So how did you play with this? Was it important for you that the visual aspects and obviously the edit, the cut would bring this cinematographic element, the visual side of it, to not only, the film is far from looking like a documentary, though it's based on facts. There's all this sort of like language of cinema and colors and faces and the choices that you make. So how difficult is it to apply that to such a topic?
Weirdly, it wasn't difficult at all, because it's weird, because I felt what you see in the film, this big decor, and how I felt when I got there. When I got to Mauritania and we went to the desert, it was so, I mean, you look at it, there's nothing. It's empty. There's no, you cannot hear any noise. And at the same time, you feel frightened. You feel so little, you feel so alone, and especially at night when we were on the camp, when I saw where I wanted to do the camp, everybody, and we had to drive an hour and a half every day to go to that place. And everybody was telling me, my decor people, it's too far, try to find something closer. And I'm like, no, this is it. And when we get there, it's so isolated. There's no, of course, electricity, because we are in the middle of nowhere. And the worst part, it was like we did not have any connection, and we're an hour away from the main little city. So if anything happened, we had to drive an hour and a half up to get for some help. So that feeling, that I had when I was there, that's what I portrayed in my film. It wasn't, it wasn't planned, or it wasn't, I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't calculated before, but when I went for location scouting and I looked at it, and the way I felt, I wanted to portray that in the film, like all the silence that you hear in the film, I wanted the audience to feel it, to hear what I was hearing, and to be frightened the way I was frightened, you know. It's funny because, I mean, I'm saying it's funny now, but when we're shooting, you know, like when the sand was very, very hard, we can see scorpion coming out of the sand. And then everybody was screaming, scorpion, scorpion, and we'll all jump onto the cars. It was so dangerous. And even at night, sometimes like in the rocks, we will be shooting, and then you can see some eyes coming out. You know, there were shackles. We didn't even know there was any shackles around, you know. So all of that atmosphere that I felt, I really wanted to bring this on screen. And I'm glad that you felt it, because that's what I wanted.
And I read it was filmed in Mauritania on the other side of the border, but still, it's as you said, it's a very dangerous region. How difficult was it to get the production to follow your project?
The region in Mauritania is actually safe, you know. Mauritania was one of actually the countries in the Sahel that had the terrorism, you know. So it's been 10 years that it's actually been safe. So people still think that it's dangerous, but now compared to Burkina, Mali, or Niger, it's actually better, and it's actually, you know, they control it, you know. And the reason actually why I went to Mauritania is because of that. Because originally I was supposed to do my film in my country, in the north of my country, in the desert, and we were all ready. I went location scouting. I went with the military. Everything was all set. And unfortunately, a week later, after my location scouting, and then we set at the date to move the entire crew, there was another attack on that region, you know, not very far from the site that I was about to shoot. And now my government said, no, you can't go there. You know, it's too safe, it's too dangerous. And that's actually why we delocated the film into Mauritania, because it was safer there. And we had a great help with the army. You know, when I talk about fear, it's not about terrorism. It's just the whiteness, you know, the desert, which there's nothing there.
And of course, one important aspect is the role of women, as we just mentioned. Would you say that your film is a feminist statement, or is that word really not something that you would use yourself in that context?
No, I usually don't use that word. I don't know why when we talk about women, it's automatically being a feminist, you know. You know, I mean, if someone thinks that it's a feminist approach, fine, you know. But I'm not going to say no, it's not. But I just take it a little lighter, you know, lighter in the sense that I wanted the world to see that women had a big part in that community and in that war. You know, that was because I felt that they were left aside and they were portrayed as victims. That's all I wanted to see. And I wanted to show their strength. I wanted to show the way that they unite to actually fight. I wanted to show their love for each other in certain circumstances, the help that they can get to each other in the matter of war. You know, that's really what I wanted to show. And because, I mean, you know, in those regions, when we talk about war, you see the army, you see the government, and everybody's talking is either political or is you know, it's all of that. But where are the women? What are they doing? You know, and that's what I wanted to show.
There's also a lot of attention given to the communities and their diversity, you know, the language, and it's very beautiful the way the girls from Nigeria would switch with a bit of French, and then the people would speak in their own language when they feel safe. Was this something that was important to you to represent, for instance, for your audience abroad, or does it just come so naturally because you're filming something that's so close to reality?
Oh, no, it was important. And I actually planned that the way, you know, because I really wanted to show first that this is not happening only in Burkina. That's one thing. And the Fulani community, we can find the Fulani community everywhere. We find them in Nigeria, in Niger, in Burkina, in Senegal, and all of those things. And then weirdly enough, like depending of what country you're coming from, the Fulani, the accent is different, you know. And I didn't know that, you know. I really wanted to have all of the community in the Sahel to be either speaking Peul Fulani. And then when I started rehearsing, sometimes I was like, are you really speaking Fulani? They're like, yeah, you know, but because they were coming from Mauritania or from Burkina, it's the same language, but the accent was different. And also, you know, I wanted to put English in there because, of course, Nigeria is involved also and is fighting with this. So it's really wanted to portray this entire region that are going through the same problem that we are having. So that's why I actually put all the languages in that to really put it up to show that it's not only Burkina that is taking the entire region of Sahel.
How do you relate to your own trajectory? Do you feel like an ambassador of Burkina abroad? And did you bring influences from somewhere else as well? Or are you much more of an African filmmaker in your heart?
I think I have the influence of both worlds, the African and then America. I always say America taught me how to make film. America gave me the tools. America gave me the technical learning of how to make films, But Africa gave me the story. Africa gave me the lines. So I joined those two to become what I am today. I remember when I was beginning my career, when I came back to Burkina and I was making film, people were calling me the little American, And when I did Borders, which was my first big film, people are thinking, this is a little bit too American, And I've been trying to, and of course you have producers and then you have people around you that kind of guide you. Of course, it's their role. And I know that for my two last film, Borders and Dérange, I was actually trying to find really my space, because everybody saw it's either people were saying that it was too American, it's not too African. And I was like, okay, where am I getting into? But Sira, I remember telling my producer, I don't care about anything that anybody will say. This film will be me. It will be completely me. I don't want to make African happy. I don't want to make American happy. I don't want to make anybody happy. I'm just going to make the film the way I feel, because I've been battling about this for a long time. So that's why I'm really, really very close to this film, because I feel that this is like the one that I made really entirely by myself, not trying to be please whatever type of filmmaking it is, entirely me. That's what it is, Yeah, I think my influence, as I said, of course, I spent 15 years in the States. I worked with some studios. I worked on the independent film, and when I came back, I didn't know anything about films in Africa. I didn't know the world of cinema in Africa when I came back, but I knew that I was going to make stories about my continent. So yeah, I'm mixing those two experience that I have, and that's what makes me.
Maybe we can just say a few words about Burkina, because still there is a great history of cinema, and there's the festival obviously in Ouagadougou. Is this something now that you feel connected to, and how important was it to show the film there?
It was the most frightening experience in my life. After 20 years of showing this film in Burkina, I swear, I felt so, I was so scared, because we opened the film at the Berlinale in Berlin. The film showed that first time. And then I remember when it was like 1,500 people in the room, packed,
Wow.
and then when the film finished, everyone was quiet in the theater. Everyone, when the credits came, everybody was quiet until the light came out. And then it was like a little click, and everybody stood up and then started clapping for like 5 minutes. They were so shocked at the end. So that was my first screening ever with the public. But and then I needed to come to FESPACO to show the film, because I was in competition there. And I was so frightened. And I was like, are they going to accept it? Are they going to understand? Are they going to, what about the people who actually experienced this? How are I going to feel? And it was when the trailer came out, this is what actually everything that blew in the country. When the trailer came out, like everybody was like, yeah, this is so great, and we showed the film here. It was just beautiful, because there was people, three more. The theater was so packed that it was like, I think a theater of 700 people, and there was more than 3 times people outside trying to get in. They couldn't get in, you know, and then we had to have the security came but everybody was so excited. Everybody was so thrilled when they saw the film, and I was so relieved because I was so scared, you know. And I was happy because I felt that the country needed that. You know, I kind of gave them hope by the way I ended the film. They really needed it. I could feel that they really needed that to say that, okay, even though now it's difficult, like tomorrow will be better. This is the way that they felt, and I was really happy about it. And right now, the film is in theater in like 10 or 12 countries, the French area. I'm going to Geneva tonight, actually. I'm flying in and I'm flying out, and the film is going to be shown again around the world. You know, there's a lot of festivals coming out. The one that, of course, is in England, and then there's one in the United States, and I think that the film is playing also in Morocco right now. My actor is there, so it's going around. It's going around.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so very much. It was a pleasure, Apolline Traoré. Thanks for being with me and with us, and all the best of luck.
Thank you very much.